change this world today. Make those bad things go away. Hey!
So today we're heading underwater and diving into the world of kelp, starfish, mangroves and more. Why? Because the ocean is an amazing place. Seatrees is on a mission to regenerate the health of our ocean planet. And co-founder Michael Stewart is joining us today from West Coast, USA to tell us all about it. G'day, Michael.
Yeah, Ben, thanks for the invite here.
So you're a surfer. You grew up by the ocean. You've been vice chair of Surfrider Foundation in San Francisco. You're founder of Sustainable Surf. And as if that wasn't enough, you're now co-founder of Seatrees.
Yep.
Can you tell me how and when this obsession with the ocean began?
Well, considering that we all actually carry the ocean in our literal, veins, right? The same, salinity profile in the ocean is what we actually carry in our veins. We came from the ocean and we brought it out with us. So with that in mind, I'm going with from day one.
So I spend most of my time on top of the ocean, but you're actually spend a lot of time under the ocean as well, right? It's almost like outer space in some ways, isn't it?
We actually know way more about outer space than we do about the ocean that is literally the defining element of our entire planet. Isn't that crazy? We've explored like 2%. And we know very little about, how it actually operates.
So looking at the website, Seatrees is a global movement to regenerate marine ecosystems and protect our planet's future. Now, restoring the ocean is a pretty big goal, and it means regenerating everything from mangroves to kelp forests to coral reefs. And that story can get pretty complicated pretty quickly. So you found a way to simplify it with the idea of a Seatree. Want to tell us all about it?
The role of Seatrees is to really understand that the story has to actually get out to the world. Coral reefs are different than kelp forests. They're different than seagrass meadows. They're different than mangrove forests. They're different, than coastal watersheds. It was so hard to try to talk about the commonalities that all of these systems have. Basically, we needed a unit of measurement and a unit of impact. And ta-da, that's where the name Seatree was actually born. A Seatree is going to be different depending on the ecosystem that the project is actually happening, right? So if it's in a mangrove forest, that Seatree is going to be one mangrove seedling that gets grown into an actual tree. If it's a coral reef restoration project, that's going to be one fragment of coral that is grown on lines, outplanted, and turns into, a brand new thriving reef, right? If it's kelp, we'll do it in a square foot. So a Seatree is really this unit of impact and measurement that can be measured, validated, and counted. And that's what the donors, especially businesses, which we really focus on, need in order to know what they're doing with their money and is the impact real and is it actually happening? So that's what we bring to our partners is we bring the ability to say, we know how to tell stories, to create them. We know where the pots of money are. We know how to go after them and get them. And we know how to bring the monitoring, verification, and reporting that a marketplace that we're trying to build to support this is going to demand.
You standardize impact. And in a way, I've always said that nonprofits, they sell impact. In a funny way,
that's the product at the end of the day.
That is the product, right? And therefore, if you can simplify that product and make that easy to purchase, like any product, then you're going to sell more products.
Yeah, I think we have over 300 brand partners right now, and it's across every single vertical. Yeah, show me another small to mid-sized nonprofit that has that, right? And it's not tooting our own horn, but it is to say that this model works. You should steal this model. Every other NGO group out there or founders thinking about essentially starting one should steal this idea, which is your impact. That is what you're selling. You need a way to sell this. You need to turn your impact into a product. And your product is the most needed product on the planet. Like that's how real this is.
So standardizing impact is a really good way to attract funding. And then you take that funding and distribute it to everyone from divers to researchers to labs to help them work together to regenerate the ocean. And a good example of this is your work regenerating kelp forests off the California coast. So why is this needed and how does it work?
Unfortunately, some of the places that I hold dearest I have already seen changes in the last few decades, right? So take the absolute most recent example of that is right here in Northern California. We've lost over 95% of the historical bull kelp forest that used to be on this coastline just since 2013, 2014. What happened in that particular case is that there was this piece of warm water called the warm blob. Lasted for about 3 years, from 2014, 15, 16. And it was a marine heat wave, right? And it wasn't, 3 months, it was 3 years. And so that actually caused a bacteria to attack the starfish. And the biggest impact really was that it took out one starfish in particular called the sunflower star. This thing is massive, dude. It gets to be almost a meter in width, 24 arms, and it's the most voracious starfish in the ocean. It looks like something of a horror movie that a 6-year-old would design. And this thing will hunt sea urchins down, and can eat 40 to 60 a day. But when that last predator got completely knocked out and is now functionally extinct on the West Coast, that's what triggered this cascade. Very quickly, with no predators, the purple sea urchin population size exploded, and they very quickly ate basically the entire kelp forest. And we have yet to recover. So it's like those things where the system is doing what appears to be fine, and all the way up into the moment until it's not. And that really is the nexus of where Seatrees as an organization is focused. And that's where our work is actually directed towards.
It is crazy how as humans, we don't understand those kick-on effects.
Right. Well, and also these are real social economic issues, right? So we had a $20 million red sea urchin fishery on the North Coast. That is gone, done. That is real hard dollars taken out of these coastal communities here.
Do you find that when you tell the story in those terms, people get it? Like, we kind of don't care about nature, but we care when it affects us. Is that sadly the truth for some people?
For some people, right? And I'm so glad that you brought up, how do you actually talk about these things, right? Because, scientifically, if I was just to put a science framework around this, right, and talk about the trophic, web and all these things, which are one way to really frame what this habitat or this infrastructure is actually doing. The other way is to talk about the stories that people can actually relate to, which is, you want to go and take your family on the weekend camping trip, right? And so when we're trying to get people to understand what's going on, we really bring in the coolness of what the ocean actually has, from the animals to the activities, because those are the things that people actually, care about. And they need something to that's tangible that they can actually hold on to. And I actually have a very special guest that I brought to this interview.
Oh, good news.
Do you want to meet him?
I
Good
100% do.
Okay. So this guy right here.
Oh, wow.
Is a purple sea urchin. And this guy's alive. When you start telling the overall story of, here's how this little, critter moves. Here's where they eat the kelp. Here's how they gather it. You're actually creating an on-ramp for people to become interested, not just in the data that you have to talk about or the jargon that you can throw around. This guy is actually going to be, I'm taking this to a friend's party, and we're going to have fresh uni that just got brought from the sea. And then its shell and all the calcium and the little spines can be composted. We'll close that cycle. I got this great thing here.
It's a pink beanie for anybody listening and not watching.
It's a pink beanie. Check it out.
It's very
handmade by a local artist friend. And this color was derived from the spines of the purple sea urchin. It makes the coolest pink color you've ever seen in the world, right?
So you're using the spines as dye for the...
That's exactly right. Yeah. So many ways to connect people in a really interesting, artistic, economic way. It's just way more interesting than listening to a scientist talk about how dire it is that we've lost all these things and the trophic web of life has been broken. All of which is fundamentally true, but we need people to actually pay attention and you got to capture their attention in the first place, right? We are competing in this world with all the TikTok influencers and the latest hit, the latest Marvel movie and whatever else. And it feels like people haven't really understood that story is king, and framing it in the correct way to get attention, create engagement, and then last but not least, provide an on-ramp to take action. And that's at the heart of what we actually do.
That is a very scalable model because, like we've talked about California's kelp forests, but looking at your impact today, you California to Kenya to Cambodia to Costa Rica, you've actually got a goal to support 100 projects globally, and you're probably not that far off it. In some places it's mangroves, in some places it's coral, in some places it's kelp. So you've actually created this really nice holistic way to affect the entire ocean.
This really did start from this idea of, what if we looked at conservation and restoration in just a fundamentally, different way? I come from being an entrepreneur and starting up businesses that did some really cool and unique things. And I just figured this structure is the best way. Look at who has the money. Look who has the impact in the world. And it's, for better or for worse, it's the biggest brands and corporations out there, the smallest brands and corporations. They're all using that same model. Why aren't environmental nonprofits trying to harness the power that model actually has, right? So it really wasn't a genius move. It was why don't we just do that? Because that is successful. That is scalable. And could we come up with this, overarching unit that could go across all these different places and have a unifying fact? It's like zeros and ones, Ben, right? The digital world wouldn't be here today if someone hadn't essentially had the idea of everything can be represented in a bit, right? It's either on or it's off. It's a 0 or a 1. And you can build anything you want from that simple, equation, right? So that's what we're doing with the Seatree. And let me bring this back to the interview that you did with Kate from 1% for the Planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she's amazing. And that model has actually proven itself to be incredibly effective. What have they raised now? About $846 million, right? To help restore our home planet. For Seatrees, I want us to be the catalyst for raising $846 billion for our ocean planet. And if you think I'm just joking, then they obviously haven't read your website, where you basically make the case that, hey, Patagonia is $1 billion company, right? And that's a big pile of money, but it's a rounding error for some of the biggest businesses in the world. But the case that you make, that's part of the reason I wanted to come on here, was you clearly understand the value of a catalyst, because what Patagonia did was catalyze about $2 trillion worth of economic activity that is following more or less the same model that Patagonia has essentially set up, of a business doing good and doing well at the same time. And so that economic model that we're talking about here, particularly for the oceans, specifically for conservation, needed and does need that single unit that the impact and the finance and the monitoring and everything else can basically use. It needs the zeros and ones, and that's what a Seatree is.
You've obviously done a great job in the digital realm, but funny enough, the world's gone from real world to digital. You're actually going back to real world by setting up a purpose-built space in San Diego to engage people and educate people and excite people. Tell me about that.
Okay. Again, I literally just stole this from the best operating for-profit brands in the world. So the digital marketplace is absolutely saturated right now, right? Completely full. How many more ads can a car company or a soap company try to throw at you across, the digital platforms? Everyone hates ads. Everyone's trying to avoid it. And they're just trying to push it. The biggest brands out there have basically said, we can't actually reach anyone else by having another ad come on their device, right? Yep. But what we can get, and what we need to start doing, is to have these in-person or in real life experiential places where people can see what the hell we do, experience us, have real time with the overall product and our brand and storytelling and whatever else. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're starting our own brand house, which is called the Sea House.
Lovely.
And
makes sense.
Yeah. And it's located in Encinitas, California, which is in San Diego. So at the Sea House, where we are essentially creating the home for ocean culture to live in Southern California. And we're going to be bringing people together to have a great time, good food, good music, really engaging content. And we're going to provide a way for them to take action for the ocean ecosystems right there at the Sea House.
So celebrate your love of the ocean and then learn what you can do about it. I'm going to move on to you, because you are you come across at least as a very positive individual. We've talked about some pretty tough stuff here, but we've talked about it in a very, very positive way in terms of solution and celebration. How do you personally stay positive in a world that can be full of negative information?
I guess I'm lucky to be able to get into the ocean. Maybe not every day, but literally I can ride my bike just a few blocks and even just look over the, bluff there. Right. So yeah, things do get heavy. It's a very heavy time. So these are all things you're like, oh, I just want to go surf. And thank goddess, that being connected to something that is as timeless and omnipresent as the ocean in that space, it really does provide deep healing, medicine for my soul.
I feel the same way. So if someone wants to follow in your footsteps, someone's thinking, wow, this is so cool, I want to be like Michael, where do they begin?
Yeah, that's always the toughest question to actually answer, right? But the skill set that you need, there's one trait in particular, and that is curiosity, right? Being curious about what's possible. And being curious about how that actually works has been I would say that all the people that I've ever hired for Seatrees have brought that. They may not have had the exact skill set that I needed or I thought that I needed in that moment. But what they are bringing is the ability to think creatively, be really curious about the world, start from where their own passion is, right? So if you start from that place in that space and have real curiosity about how the world works and this understanding that you actually can make the difference that you want to make, then those are the key ingredients. After that, it's sending out emails. It's volunteering your time. It is calling everybody up and bugging them. It is making yourself useful and ultimately indispensable. Those are the people that will find a place in these ecosystems.
So love of the cause, curiosity as to what might be the solution, belief you can actually solve it, and then determination to keep doing it.
Maybe the last thing we can leave people with is that it's a learning journey. I don't care how much you think you know. There's always more, to actually learn and to put into good practice. So, there's isn't that wonderful, right? It's like, we're never done. The work goes on long after you've gone. And if you can make and create space that can create an ecosystem of, positivity that other people can come and take part in and thrive and take it past where you've been able to take it, that's the kind of legacy that I think is worth leaving.
Beautifully said. Before you go, so where do I find out more? Because obviously we talk about corporate sponsors and that, but people can actually individually donate as well. Seatrees.org, correct? Seatrees?
That's exactly right. Just put it into your favorite search engine, Seatrees, and you'll find us on socials. You'll find us on the website. There's an amazing number of projects that you can simply hop on your mobile device and be planting sea trees within about 30 seconds. If you can order a pizza or whatever else from your phone, you already know how to plant a sea tree.
Oh, well said. Get online to help the offline world.
That's right. It's all connected.
Thank you. It's been wonderful talking with you, and I love what you're doing. Keep curious. Keep saving the world.
That's it, Ben. Thanks so much. And thanks for what you do, man. Gathering these voices and distilling that wisdom down into something that other people can use for their own dreams and goals. That's what it's about, man. So kudos to you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I'm gonna change this world today. Make those bad things go away. Hey!